jury has convicted a 23-year-old woman of killing her own mother.
A Summit County jury found Sydney Powell guilty of murder, felonious assault, and tampering with evidence. Back in 2020, she hit her 50-year-old mother in the head with an iron skillet before stabbing her nearly 30 times in the neck. Powell will be sentenced later this month.
This video contains the interview of a college student whose friend murdered her own mother. The transition from high school to college can be difficult. There are higher expectations, new experiences, and heightened anxieties. For Sydney Powell, who had yet to settle on a career fully, this was especially true. Powell had excellent grades in high school and the support of her close-knit, loving family. She also suffered from anxiety, which was made worse by her consumption of alcohol. After several years of changing her major, Powell's grades began to slip. She spent more and more time in her room and missed classes. Her grades finally became so bad that the college intervened, telling her she could no longer attend. With shame and embarrassment, Powell returned home. Powell's mother, Brenda, had always been close with her daughter. The two never had any serious arguments and did not experience the friction that often occurs between mothers and daughters during the teen years. Shortly after her arrival, emergency workers were called to the Powell home, where they found Brenda barely clinging to life. Powell, who claimed to have no memory of that day, had struck her mother in the head with a cast iron skillet and stabbed her in the neck over 30 times.
Okay, yeah, no problem.
If you sure you don't want anything to drink, or?
I'm good, I promise.
Hi, this is my partner. This is Detective Bertina
How are
King.
you?
I'm good, how are you? Thank
Looks like I've seen you before, though.
Maybe.
You ever come here to see your dad?
I did when he retired.
Okay.
I haven't been here often.
So, Lauren, first of all, thanks for coming in.
Yeah.
We know that this whole thing's difficult for you, and you're trying to make sense of it, and so are we.
Mm-hmm.
We're just talking to you about what you know, not about what you've heard or anything.
Okay.
Just trying to find out as much as we can, so we can, kind of make sense of this ourselves. So if you want a break or anything, just let us know. But why don't we start off with, tell us about Sydney. How did you, when did you first meet, and how long have you known each other?
I've known Sydney for 6 years. We met the first day of summer gym in high school, and then we were best friends ever since. Very close.
And what are you doing now?
I'm at school.
Okay, where do you go to school at?
I go to the University of Mount Union.
Okay. And what year are you in there?
I'm a sophomore. Yeah.
Now, we understand that Sydney was your roommate at Mount Union?
Yes, she was for last year and then this year until she left.
Okay. So how did that work? Did you both plan on going to Mount Union, or? Okay.
Yeah, she liked it first, and I was like, I don't know. And then I visited there, and I was like, oh yeah, this is the place to be. And then when we both got accepted, we were like, oh, we're definitely being roommates.
And so you've been friends ever since your freshman year at St. B?
Mm-hmm.
Go over each other's houses, everything like that.
Yep.
Currie had a close enough relationship with Powell that she should have good insight not only into Powell herself, but also the dynamic between Powell and her mother.
Okay. So what are you studying at Mount Union?
Education.
Education?
Yes.
And what was Sydney taking?
Well, she started off in exercise science freshman year, her first semester, but then she didn't like the classes, so she switched over to psychology and sociology, but then she didn't really like that, so this year she switched to education, and then she didn't like that either, and that's one of the reasons she left, is because she really couldn't find what she liked, so she was trying to figure it out.
So tell us about the time you spent together at Mount Union. You said that she really wasn't couldn't find something that she was interested in.
I think her most interest was psychology, like learning about that stuff. But other than just like hanging out with her friends, like educational wise, it was kind of hard for her, I think.
Where did you stay at there? Where do you stay at?
freshman year we were in a dorm room, and then this year we were in a suite, so it's like a dorm room but like two, so we have like neighbors, and we shared a bathroom.
But this is it's actually like Mount Union housing. It's not like a separate apartment or anything.
Yeah, it's Mount Union housing.
So it's just you and Sydney?
Mm-hmm.
And now, were there some other groups of students that you hung around with frequently? Neighbors of yours?
Yeah, so like I said, our suite mates, which was Alyssa, who was a cheerleader with me, and then our friend Brittany, who was in like the townhouses, so she didn't live with us, but she was really close with us because she was in our sorority together, and she was also a cheerleader.
Now, was Sydney in that same sorority?
Yes.
What sorority is that?
Alpha Chi Omega.
Now, do they have a separate house on campus there, or how does that work?
So they do have a house on it, but they only have like one apartment, so you can't really like live there.
So it's Alpha Chi
Omega.
Omega?
Yeah.
And did you both join together, or how did that go?
So we both went through recruitment together, and we both did the same sorority.
What attracted you to that sorority?
The girls, the vibe that they gave off, like everything that they stood for.
And what was that? Tell us about that.
Well, I think the girls are just really nice in general, but the philanthropy they stand for is the Domestic Violence Shelter Alliance, and even though I've never been like in any of those like situations, I think that was a good cause.
Okay. So you didn't there's no actual house, but everybody just belonged to the sorority and just stayed at their dorms, is that?
Yeah.
How often did you get together with those girls?
Every Sunday we have chapter, which is like kind of like the meetings, and so if we had events, we were with them. So anytime we had an event or on Sunday chapters, so often.
So when you first got to Mount Union, how did it go for Sydney? Did she seem to be? I mean, you mentioned that she didn't really, find a niche as far as what she wanted to study. But I mean, did she ever talk to you about her classes and how that's going, or did you share that with each other?
Yeah, I mean, I think we talked about classes a lot because we did homework together a lot. I think she was like I said, I think she struggled in her classes. I don't think her grades were the best, but she didn't really tell me that because I wasn't really struggling. But I think you could tell, kind of, especially at the end, that she just wasn't like doing her best. In high school, she was very like good grades and everything, so I think it was kind of a shock for her not to be like to struggle. I think a little bit.
I think it's like a study habit thing, because it's a big difference from college to.
I think so, because like in high school sometimes you can procrastinate a little bit, and in college you definitely can't.
So she just wasn't. Did it seem like how did this like kind of change affect her? I mean, did it affect her moods at all? Did she seem concerned about it, or tell us about that?
I think she kept a lot of stuff hidden because when we were just talking or with our friends, she always seemed happy. Like she seemed okay. Like I said, I couldn't tell until the end where she was kind of just like struggling and she kind of was sad and just like, Lauren, I don't know what to do. I'm like, well, you just need to find what makes you happy and like just you need to find what you like to do. And I don't know. I think it did make her a little upset because she was confused. I think she felt like everybody around her kind of had figured out what they wanted.
That is a common feeling among college students who begin attending with no set goal, as well as those who discover that the requirements for their chosen occupation aren't what they expected.
And she had it, so I think that kind of affected her.
So when do you think that it really started affecting her? That like, look, this is, I'm really having problems, and this is I have to. I mean, I don't want to put words in your mouth. Tell us when you think that it really started affecting her, like often.
Like her anxiety. Well, I know she's had anxiety for a while, but I think it was this last semester, like starting coming back in January, is when it really started, that she was kind of more like upset because she really didn't know what she wanted to do, like she didn't like her classes, because that's when she started the education classes, and like my friends and I were worried for her because we didn't know what was going on because she wouldn't tell us, and like there was problems with like housing or something. Just like we shared a room and they like put names on the doors, and her name wasn't on it when we got back, and we were confused about that. And she said it's because they messed up because she didn't sign the forms right or something, but it kind of never got fixed. And then she left. And my friends and I were just worried because we didn't even know if she got any books for her classes. Like, we were trying to ask her questions like that. And, like, she's like, no, I have books and I have stuff for my classes. But, like, I do homework all the time. And I don't think I saw her doing a lot of homework the last couple weeks. So I think this last semester, this January part when she was there, kind of affected her the most.
So, had you hung out over the Christmas break?
Yeah.
And was she talking about, what was she talking about then? Was she talking about the next semester, or did you guys talk about school at all?
I don't think we talked about school. Maybe living situations, because for like junior year we were talking about living in the townhouses and like what we were gonna need. So I think we were talking about living situations, but like school-wise and class-wise, I don't think so much.
So when you came back from Christmas break, you didn't see her name on the door.
Yeah.
And when did she come back?
She came back the same day.
Same day?
Yeah.
Did you come together?
No.
Okay.
No. She came in her own car.
And so take us through again, her name wasn't on the door.
Yeah.
And how did,
So I guess the dorm people do that?
Yeah, so the RAs do that.
Okay.
So we were like, oh, what happened? Like, maybe you should go ask the RA, because people were asking, like, why is her name on the door? I'm like, I don't know. So she was kind of hesitant to ask the RA, so that's when we were kind of just like, what's going on? Like, my sweet mate, Alyssa, and I were asking, like, oh, what's going on? And Sydney's just said that when she signed out the forms wrong, so she was meeting with residents, like, a lot in the last couple weeks to kind of figure out, like, to get her stuff back, because then when her name wasn't on the door, her dorm key, like the thing to get into the dorm building, it stopped working. And so, but then it started working again, because she went over to Res Life and they turned it back on. So I don't know what happened, really, but that's all she said.
So it wasn't, so when she got there, it didn't work, and then she went and talked to them.
Yeah.
And then so is this like, so the key is the outside door, and then you have to use one for the inside door?
No, so there's kind of. There's a key card, like our Mount Union ID, and that's when you swipe in, so like you can get into the building.
Okay.
And then there's the actual key for the room. The swiper wasn't working. The key swiper wasn't working.
Okay.
So I think she just told us that she didn't fill like the housing form out. Like this, when we had to come back, we had to fill out a form saying we're coming back, and she said she signed something off wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if that's true or not, but that's what she told us.
Howell was embarrassed by her situation and lied to her friends about what was happening. Right now, you can watch another incredibly intense case on my Patreon. Discover the disturbing story of the Ken and Barbie killers, a terrifying tale about a couple obsessed with violence. Dive into their dark journey as they become immersed in unimaginable horrors. Watch this shocking video, along with many others, at patreon.com/strangerstoriesplus.
And then she just, like I said, she met with Res Life a lot, like a couple weeks trying to get them figured out so she could, like, because she was staying, and then she ultimately decided not to stay, and so she had to return her key and stuff.
so when she got her stuff working again, how was it like day to day? I mean, was she leaving the dorm? Was she coming back?
Yeah, because
And what were you thinking about that at that time?
I was confused because we've told each other everything for a long time, so I was confused in the sense I didn't know what was happening, and I was just like, she could trust me, she could tell me if something was wrong, I want to help her, but she didn't really tell us anything. Like, she didn't tell Alyssa anything either, or Brittany. She did go to class, so she was leaving the building, but usually her and I were together because our classes were similar. So we'd be coming back at the same time. But I saw her use her key, but like I'd use my key too. But yeah, we were together most of the time, coming back from classes and stuff.
Did you have any of the same classes?
We had the same class, but not at the same time.
Did you actually know for sure she was actually physically in the classroom?
No. cannot say it, you know that. She told us she was, and I mean, she was, like, we both had French class, and she was doing her French homework with me, so I knew she was doing stuff with the same class, but I don't know if she was going to class.
Okay. Was there any, like you mentioned Alyssa and Brittany, any other, like maybe the sorority sisters in any of her classes?
No, but she was also close to a girl named Audrey. She was in our sorority, but she was also a cheerleader. A lot of her friends were my friends, because I'm a cheerleader, so she hung out with a lot of the people I hung out with.
So you don't know if she was actually ever sitting in a seat in a classroom?
I can't tell you that, no, because we had classes at the same time. And if we didn't have class at the same time, it was because I was in a class and she was in a study room because she didn't have class at that time.
What was she doing? I mean, was she at the dorm room a lot, or how can you describe for us what she was doing when she was not in class? Or supposed to be in class?
When she wasn't in class, if she was waiting for me, she'd wait in the study room, so that, like, Mount Union had like rooms that you can study in. So she'd wait for me until I get out of class, and then we'd go do stuff together. But if she'd not, she'd be in the dorm room in her bed on her laptop.
Did you notice any change in her mood? Was she talking about anything, or?
Like, I could tell she was getting more upset, like more sad. And I told her, I was like, I'm here, like, you can tell me, I'm here for you. If you need anything, I'm here. But she never really opened up until she was leaving and saying that she was struggling with school and that she was kind of trying to figure out what was going on. And that's when I started to try to help her. And then she ultimately decided to leave, which I thought would maybe be good for her, just to get her mind off the rest of the semester and then come back or go to Akron or something the next following fall semester, kind of, hoping that would help her.
So when was that night conversation, as opposed to when she left?
That conversation, maybe a week before she left, a week or so before, saying we were talking about it. We were just like, I was like, well, Sydney, I understand if you might have to take classes or summer classes. If you want to come back to Mount, I'm all for it. Like, we love you and we want you here. But, like, I understand if you go home, like, my friends and I talked about this without Sydney too, but if she goes home and she just needs to go to Akron just to be at home, just to be somewhere where she can maybe try to find a new work ethic and something that makes her want to go to class, we're all for it. And she's like, I appreciate that. I really want to come back to Mount. That's like where all my friends are. That's where I want to learn, even if I'm a semester behind. That was kind of what she said.
So when did she actually leave? Can you put a day on that, something that reminds you of when she actually left?
The Tuesday before the incident. A week before.
A week before?
Yeah,
is that the last time you actually saw her?
I saw her the Monday before the incident happened. That week she came back to Mount to watch The Bachelor with me and my friends at my friend's townhouse. She came over.
Did she stay where she was staying after she left, or what did you believe? Where did you believe she was staying?
She told us she was home. Like, she left. We watched The Bachelor, and then she left to go back home. And she texted us when she came home.
Like I made it home?
Yeah, like she made it home.
Okay. So you think that before this happened, she'd been at the house a week?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So she leaves about a week before the incident, then you're thinking she's at home?
Yeah.
And then she came back to
No.
just that Monday?
Yeah.
Okay. So, Lauren, let's talk about this. You're her best friend, and I know this is difficult, but tell us about her relationship with her parents.
Her and her parents had a really good relationship. Like, her mom and her were best friends. Probably, like, they did everything together. Like, one of the reasons she went home was to be with her mom. They were always close. She never said anything bad about her mom. She never ever talked about having an argument with her mom. Like, I can't recall every time she'd be going home, she'd be like, I can't wait to see my mom. Or when she goes home for weekends, she'd be like, oh, my mom wants me to come home so we can hang out and like watch movies, and she loved being home.
This was the consensus of everyone who knew the family. There was a close mother and daughter relationship, and Brenda Powell was not overbearing or demanding.
And she had a good relationship with her dad too. Like, I know that her and her dad liked to watch like Star Wars together, and he always like cooked food at the house. Like he liked cooking, and she'd always talk about how good his food was and what they would get each other for Christmas and things about spring break. Like she loved being home like with her family.
So when she's talking to you about, the problem she's having at school, did she mention that she tried talking to her parents at all, or that they were going to have, that they were involved in her future plans at all?
Yeah, I know she definitely, especially when she left, she talked to her mom about leaving. They kind of made that decision together to leave Mount. Like, she told them that. She didn't tell them for a while, but I knew when everything kind of built up, she was telling them how she was struggling with school. And then when she left, I know that was a decision between like her and her parents, kind of mutual type decision.
Now, when you say that she told them and it was like a mutual decision, is that her telling you that?
Mm-hmm.
Is that her telling you that she...
She told me that she talked to her parents and they decided that it would be best for her to just not finish the rest of the semester.
So as far as you know, based on what Sydney was telling you, she was discussing the situation. Did you think her parents knew based on what she told you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But you never ever talked to the parents, all right?
Mm-hmm. No, I haven't seen her parents in a while.
So you last saw her, which would have been like a week before the incident, and then had she removed all her things, or what about, did you get the impression that she was moving out at that point for good?
When she told me that Tuesday morning, we woke up and she was talking, she's like, I need to tell you something. My family and I decided that it'd be better to like take the rest of the semester off, and I have to leave today. And then she like packed up all of her stuff and kind of told all of her friends, and then she left that Tuesday with all of her stuff, all of her bedding, all of her clothes, all of her items.
And that was a Tuesday before the incident happened?
Yes, yes.
And then she drives up to see you the Monday night before?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Did she say anything that day when you were watching The Bachelor, or did you ask how she was doing, or tell us about that?
Yeah, we asked her how she was doing, and she said she was good. Like, she acted like what we would see as normal. Like, she was laughing, she was having fun. She said she got jobs, because she worked at the Akron Rubber Ducks.
Mm-hmm.
She's worked there for a couple seasons, so she was gonna go back there. And then she also said she was looking for another job, and like everything was good, and she was trying to figure out like for next year and all this stuff. And she was gonna talk to her parents about housing, trying to come back to Mount. That was her main thing. But she seemed fine. Like, she seemed completely like I said, she was laughing and we were goofing off and doing girl stuff and everything like that.
When she's, once you got to Mount Union, or anytime actually, did Sydney ever drink alcohol at all, or she did?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, just kind of describe that for us. We've all been college age, so, and
No. I don't usually like drink a lot, and if I do, it's fun. But she liked to drink. There was an incident in the fall of our freshman year where she drank too much, and she wasn't alcohol poisoned, but she did end up in the hospital. And her mom came and got her at like 2 in the morning, but she did end up in the hospital that day because she drank like mixed drinks and drank too much. But usually after that, her and I were together, and if she did drink, I usually kind of like slowed her down after I knew kind of her limit, because she's small, so I kind of knew her limit. But she did drink.
What situation was that in? Was that like just like a party or something, or?
I was in the dorm room watching movies because I didn't want to go out. So she went out with some other of her friends. I wasn't really close with them. I was close with one of them, but not the rest.
Powell's struggle with alcohol may have been the cause of her problem, but there is a possibility it was only a symptom of an underlying mental struggle.
And I got a call around like 11 saying Sydney was at a party and she was throwing up and she just wasn't good, and to come pick her up. So I kind of went and got her, and then she wasn't feeling good, and so I brought her back to the dorm, and she wouldn't get out of the car, and I had guys with me trying to help, and then the RA came out, and then the RA called campus security, and the campus security called the ambulance, and then she was taken to the hospital.
Did she have any friends that like wasn't in your friend circle there, like friends that she had maybe made on her own that you're aware of?
Not really, because usually she was either in the dorm or hanging out with us or sorority girls, but I knew all the sorority girls too, that they were my friends. We had a lot of the same friends.
So her circle of friends pretty much consisted of the sorority girls that you were in and some of the cheerleaders that she met through you.
Yeah.
Had you ever seen her taking any drugs or anything, or any medications for nothing? Nothing at all?
No.
Is there anything that you know of that, did you hear from anybody else that she might have done that? Have you ever heard anything like that?
No, I'm not.
So, what is your phone number? What phone number do you have, Lauren?
You guys text a lot?
We did, yeah.
Okay.
So you mentioned an Allison?
Audrey.
Oh, I'm sorry, Audrey. Do you know Audrey's phone number off the top of your head?
No.
How about Brittany?
No. I'd have to look at my phone.
I know you just probably keep them in contact.
Yeah.
So did she, that after, you said after she left, she got all her stuff and left about a week before. What kind of contact did you have with her during that week? Did you talk to her at all over the phone?
Not really, because we kind of wanted to give her a week just to settle in with her house. We asked her how she was doing. I called her, but she didn't answer because she was in the shower. And then I texted her, and I was just making sure. I was like, I just want to make sure you were okay. And then we talked a little bit, and then she asked if she could come over that Monday for the bachelor, and I was like, of course, we'd love to have you. We want you here. And then she came over, and then she texted me I'm home, and then we'll text videos to each other. So she sent me a video that night too, and that was kind of the last of it.
What kind of video?
A TikTok video.
Did she have any boyfriends or any guy friends that she met at Mount Union or back here?
We hung out with fraternity guys, and she had the same guy friends I did. She did have a boyfriend from about December before break until January when she came back. They broke up.
So it was like a month or so.
Yeah, very short.
Do you know his name?
Dominic Zappa. Yeah.
So what made it break up?
He cheated on her on New Year's.
Oh, kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah. That'll make you happy.
No, yeah. So yeah, they broke up.
How did she find out that happened?
I had friends at the party that called me and told me, and then I told her.
Okay.
Yeah.
If she were already in a fragile state, this would have been another devastating blow.
So you had to break the news to her.
Yep.
Had she ever, any, you mentioned that she had the drinking episode. Any kind of breakdowns or anything, or you mentioned that, she had a hard time finding out what she wanted to do, what she studied, but any real bad episodes that you can recall, anything like that?
I mean, not bad. I've seen her cry, but not over mean. I've seen her cry before over just being stressed. I don't think she handled stress very well, so she cried over stuff sometimes when she got too stressed out. But other than that, not really.
The worst, how did you take the news about Dominic?
She was upset for a while, but then she just kind of just it's not meant to be, that's okay, and then she broke up with him.
Where's he from?
I think North the Theater area.
Mm-hmm.
They had the words back and forth, or she just kind of dumped him on text message?
Yeah, she dumped him over text. She was I found out, and she gave him a little bit to see if he'd tell her, and he never did.
Mm-hmm.
So she's like, I kind of don't like that you never told me, so I just think we should end things now, because it's not going to work out, basically, type of thing.
Mm. So, if you talked about her anxiety, tell me more about that.
I think since high school, Sydney's been dealing with anxiety. Like I said, she doesn't deal with stress well, so if she gets in, like, if she's stressed about something, she kind of gets a little worked up over it. She went through a period in high school, in her junior year, where she just was, like, almost social anxiety. Like, she didn't like to, like, talk to people other than, like, our friend group, or go out to, like, restaurants or stores. Like, she didn't want to talk to cashiers and stuff like that. We kind of helped her and pulled her out of it, and we kind of, a girl, I think, well, she went to the counselor, so, like, Sydney went to the counselor, kind of talked about it, and it got better after that. Like, senior year, she was more normal, like I should say, but I think junior year, she definitely struggled with it. And then in college, I think it got worse again, just because, like I said, she didn't know what she wanted to do, and I don't think her grades were what she wanted them to be. So, like, when she, like, was doing her grades and stuff, I think that kind of stressed her out, and that got her more upset when she couldn't figure out why she wasn't doing as well, I think.
Do you think that she talked to any counselors up there?
Mm-hmm. I don't think she talked to any counselors at Mount, because you'd have to go to the health center, which is across campus, and she never went there.
So when she's, you mentioned that she was having problems with her grades. Did she ever talk to you about the university's feedback, like if she was on, like, probation or anything, or any official status that they changed with her? So you weren't aware of anything like that with her?
I know the reason I kind of found out is because in the sorority I got an executive position, or I was in a position to where I knew she couldn't do something because her grades, so she was academically for her grades in the sorority.
When would that have been,
That was
semester-wise?
That was last semester. I kind of found out about that because we have a thing called,
Which would have been the fall,
Yeah.
this past fall semester?
we have a thing called Big Little, where, like, the older girls get a new girl in the time of, like, their mentors, and she wasn't able to get one, I guess, because of her grades. So that's kind of when I found out, because I was in a minor position then, where I helped pick the Big Littles. So I was, like, in the position. I kind of found out because of that.
And how did she react when she was, when you talked to her about that? Or did you talk to her about it?
I didn't bring it up until I was just like, hey, I know you can't get a little, and they said it's because of your academics. Is there anything, like, you want to talk about? She's like, they just messed up my transcript. Like, I didn't get as bad of grades. I'm like, I don't really think that happens. But yeah, that's what she told me, is that they messed up her transcript. But then she came and told me the truth a little bit later, that she did have bad grades.
Powell struggled to tell her closest friend the truth, only doing so once she had no choice. That being the case, Powell likely hid her situation from her parents.
And is that, like, this little thing, is that, like, towards the beginning of the semester, or
More towards the middle.
towards the middle of the end? And that she did finally come forward and say that, did she mention specifically what her grades were?
Mm-hmm.
Just said that she was having some problems? Okay.
And how do you find out that it was all bad? How do you find out about that?
When it was, like, all her grades were pretty bad.
Yeah.
I never really found out what they were exactly. She told me that she was like, I kind of have bad grades. My friend Brittany kind of struggled with grades a little bit, so she's the first one who kind of noticed that she was struggling, because she had been in Sydney's position before, like, her freshman and sophomore year a little bit, so she kind of could tell, and she's the one who kind of, like, warned me about, talked to her about it, like, just make sure she's okay.
It's like a probation thing, right? It kind of. And then, did you ever just know that she wasn't supposed to be there? Okay.
I never knew that. I think maybe at the end she wasn't supposed to be there.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it kind of felt like. But I never knew. Not really.
Because her name never appeared in the door,
No.
right?
Was there any RAs that ever came and physically checked your suite there? See if she was staying there?
After she left. After she left. But before that, they came to talk to her.
Who's they?
The RA. She came and talked to her, and then Red Light was also coming and talking to her. They'd come and ask for her, and she talked to them.
Do you know how many days before she left would that have been, or was it weeks or days?
It was weeks, like throughout the weeks that she was there, kind of on and off.
And then that night that you saw her, did she make plans like to see you again?
We were gonna hang out. We were gonna try to hang out again soon, like over a weekend or something, but not like official or not specific plans, I guess.
Okay. You don't come home on weekends all the time?
I come home sometimes, but not often. But I knew because spring break was coming up, I was going to Florida, so we were making plans probably to see each other after spring break.
So, like back here in Akron, was there anybody that like you went to school with, or she at St. B, you're really good friends with, that she would spend time with when she was back home? Who would have been?
If she would have, it would have been either a kid who goes to Akron. His name's Lewis, but I don't think she ever contacted him because he didn't even know she left until I told him. So I don't know if she ever contacted him. And then we had another friend who goes to Kent. Her name's Emma, and I don't know if she contacted her either.
What's Emma's last name?
White.
Did she go to St. B?
She did.
So what about social media and stuff like that? Any social media she had?
She had Snapchat, Instagram, Twitter.
So did any of that ever look weird, dark, anything to you?
She never posted anything, so
Okay.
not really, no.
Okay.
Any guy friends that were back here in Akron that she hung out with?
Not really, no. When she was here, she usually was hanging out with her family. Like, her close friends were kind of the ones at school.
What's your relationship with the brother like?
They had, I think, like a normal sibling relationship. Like, they love each other and they'll do anything for each other. But they also, brother and sister argue and stuff like that. So I think it was pretty relatively normal. Like, she loved her brother. She told me that all the time. Like, I talk about Steven, she'd talk about Andrew.
There was nothing about any of Powell's relationships to suggest she would ever resort to violence. There were no fights or outbursts of anger.
Like, pretty normal. Like, she liked to go to her brother's soccer games and his lacrosse games. She liked supporting him a lot.
Was she playing in any like intramural soccer up at Mount Union or anything like that?
Yeah.
Was she playing any back here in Akron, anything like that? So, Lauren, what haven't we asked you? Is there something that you think that we need to know, or something you think that we might think is important that's weighing on your mind?
I don't think so. I think you guys have asked a lot of good questions. I think you've gotten a lot of the main things. Like, just definitely, she has had anxiety. I think it's a big thing. I don't know.
She ever went to a doctor, got diagnosed for it or anything like that?
I don't know.
Did she call it, like, I guess I would say that's like, to me, like a serious word to call something.
Anxiety.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I guess this society, day and age, words kind of get.
Right. That's why I was wondering, like, did she ever say, I went to a doctor and they said, I have anxiety, and then we just kind of carried it on like that?
No, she never said anything about going to a doctor. I don't know if it was diagnosed or. But I knew, we would call it, like, anxiety, I guess, even if it's just a small term for it.
Mm-hmm.
Or a term that we just use because it's used a lot. Just, she was stressed a lot, I guess you could say. Yeah.
And then, when it all goes bad, all of this, so how do you find out something bad happened to her mom?
So I know that I got called into my coach's office because the dean or somebody came in, and I was called into my coach's office, and they told me that something happened at the Powell residence, but then and they knew people were going to the hospital, but they just didn't know what happened. The dispute happened, and then my dad was coming to give me a suitcase, and so then my dad kind of told me.
Oh, did you guys go in Florida next
Yeah.
day or that? Yeah, 'cause I remember being here that day, like the next day or something.
2 days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh no, it was the next day. It
Yeah.
was the next day. Yeah. It was. Yeah. He kind of told me what happened. That my mom passed away, and Sydney kind of was part of it.
So how did you feel about that? What were you thinking?
I was shocked just because, like I said, Sydney and her mom were so close, and I kind of just was like, "What do you mean?" I think I was shocked and confused for a lot of it, and then I kind of, when I was on vacation, kind of figured that this happened, that something happened with her mom and her, and I don't know what, but I've been going, I can't really help other than tell you guys what I know, I guess. I knew I can't do anything other than just be there for Sydney.
Did it shock you?
Yeah, it shocked me. I kind of was just kind of, like I was just like, no, kind of like, maybe didn't believe it at first. I was like, no, this Sydney and her mom, like, maybe something else happened, somebody else was there, but obviously that wasn't the case. So I was just really shocked about it.
Have you talked to anybody in her family since this happened?
We talked to her dad, just like we sent flowers to the funeral, so he kind of thanked us and just was making sure we were okay. Basically, he was just making sure we were okay. We were making sure, like we said, if they need anything, we'd be there for them, kind of that type of situation.
And what about the other girls that are friends with Sydney? How are they?
They're okay. I think giving that week of spring break kind of let everybody kind of digest what happened. Like, we were all really upset that day or night. I wasn't there on campus, but the campus sent an email that Tuesday or that Wednesday. I wasn't there, but I heard it. Everybody was talking about it, and it was kind of upsetting for some of the people that were her friends. Because they were just confused because so many people loved her and never would have saw this coming. Not at all. Never would have saw this coming. So it was just a big shock to everyone. But like I said, having that week and now I think not being at school because of the coronavirus has given everybody time just to like heal and kind of digest what happened and just hope kind of for the best.
So has anybody said anything like, we got negative naysayers?
Yeah.
Anybody say anything bad? Like news, this would happen, she asked him whatever, anything bad?
Not to me.
Okay.
Everything that I've, like, people, my friends have texted me and people in my sorority, and it's all been very positive to me. During that week on spring break, I kind of turned off all my notifications for social media, so, like, I didn't see anything, or I didn't want to, kind of type of thing, just to kind of heal and not, but, I know from my friend that people were saying mean things on her social media page, her Instagram, because it was public. My friend told me that. I didn't go read it. But
Is it Sydney Powell?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I heard there was negative comments on her Instagram page about her, but like I said, I didn't read it. But everything I saw that people texted me and stuff was just positive, saying that they're here for us and they love us and kind of that type of situation.
You guys are like, so what are you doing now? Just online?
Yeah, online classes.
Are you guys back now for spring break technically? Or?
So we had Monday and Tuesday off, and then yesterday started online classes, but I'm just living at home because they shut down our dorms. You can't live in the dorms anymore.
Lauren, just have a question. How did she usually, I know, like, when you're at school, you get that card and everything, but did she pay for stuff with cash, or if it wasn't her, like, university card at the university facilities, if you went out, to a restaurant or something, how would she normally pay? If you know.
Either cash, or she'd get a debit card, or one of us would pay and she'd like Venmo type. She'd Venmo, we'd Venmo. That was kind of how it was. So either cash or her debit card.
So she did have an individual debit card?
Okay.
Yes. Because most of the food is, you guys eat off campus, or you guys like a kitchen and you do stuff at home?
So there's a cafeteria, and then we have in our school a cafe. It's called the B&B, where you can use your dining dollars there. and need money, but if not, it was at a restaurant or at our friend's townhouse, which they had a full-size kitchen, so we cooked there.
Okay. So how you feeling about all this?
I'm okay now. The first couple days where I was kind of sad and just confused and shocked, but like I said, I kind of realized that the only thing I can do is kind of tell you guys what happened and what I know about her, and just know that I know Sydney, or knew Sydney, how she was, and that's all I can do is just support her and try to help as much as I can. Kind of that type of situation, I knew that there was nothing I could have done right now, or that situation, I wasn't there, I don't know what happened, so all I can do is just be there for people.
Anything we haven't asked you?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Well, Lauren, if you think of something, I'm going to give you my card. Your dad knows how to get a hold of us, but I'm going to give you my card. And if there's something that maybe you say, I wish I would have told Detective King, Lieutenant Winnett, or anything at all, or I should ask you, do you have any questions for us? Or I know there's probably a million things, but okay, I'm going to give you my card.
She's like, no.
And if you, like I said, if you think of something, or somebody says something and contacts you either through Instagram, whatever, says something that's really unusual, I don't know what that would be, but if there's something that sticks out to you, or just get a hold of us, okay?
I will.
Or they can call us.
So what are you studying? What are you studying?
Education.
Okay, so you're going to teach.
Little kids. I bet you little bitty baby kids too, right?
Now you were coaching in the fall, or it's back at St. B too, right?
Yeah, I coach. I'm the freshman cheer coach at St. B.
So you had time to do that in addition to cheering at the football games and everything?
Yeah, so I would go to class Monday through Wednesday, and then Thursday I'd go back home and coach the football games.
Wow.
And then I'd cheer myself on Saturday. Yeah.
Well, thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to walk you back down, and appreciate it.
Yeah, of course.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Right here, and then I'll take you down over your dad's hanging out, okay?
Thank you.
Like I said, your dad knows how to get a hold of me. You've been, so.
No one suspected that Powell would ever do such a thing. There was no hint that something was deeply wrong. The lack of warning isn't conclusive, but it supports the belief that Powell wasn't in her right mind. Although there was evidence to support temporary insanity, Sydney Powell was found guilty of first-degree murder. She was sentenced to life in prison with the possibility of parole after 15 years. Thank you for watching. Check out my Patreon link in the description below and drop a like on this video. Also, don't forget to leave a comment. I'm always curious to read what you thought of the case.